Let's talk about flute head joint corks. Because if the head joint cork is leaking, then it doesn't matter how good of adjustment the whole rest of the flute is in, you have a leak before the air ever even gets to the first pad on the instrument. So, as hopefully you know, there's a cork up in here. You might have never seen one, but just be aware that, hey, there is one. Flutes do have a cork. If the cork can go out that way, away from the rest of the flute, the cork needs to be replaced. It should not be able to fit out that way. This one will not go out that way, so that's a good thing. But say you needed to get it out for some reason, there's really not much to it. Or say it was in like a really, really the wrong spot. You just wanted to take it out, kind of readjust everything, and put it back in the proper place. So I guess we should start with how do you know when it's in the wrong place? And hopefully you covered this in flute tech. But flute cleaning rods will have a little notch right there. And the purpose of that notch is you can put it inside the flute head joint, and then hopefully you can see right there, the notch is in the middle of the embouchure hole. Should be very, very close to the middle of the embouchure hole. If that's not the case, say it was way off, you would want to get that head joint cork out of there. So you would take a tool. J.L. Smith makes some tools like this. It can be pretty basic, and you can even make your own one, actually, if you just had a piece of plastic that can fit inside the flute head joint, and then you drilled a little hole in the middle of it there to go on top of the cork assembly there. You can make your own, but I'm using a fancy J.L. Smith store-bought one. So I've got the flute like this, and I'm going to press down, keeping my hands clear because I don't want to pinch myself when this gives way. So I'm keeping my hands clear of that. And then that one didn't take too much pressure. Sometimes you really do got to lean into it. And there you go. That's what should come out. It'll look like that on virtually every single flute. There are some extremely fancy ones out there, but those only go on extremely fancy flutes. And I really hope you're not trying to make any adjustments to extremely fancy flutes in your band room. So won't apply. But you've got a cork surrounded by two plates. The top plate should just unscrew. Sometimes these are glued together. Sometimes they're not. Let's see. So the top wasn't, but maybe the bottom is. Sometimes you need pliers to get it apart. Nope, it was just kind of stuck. Doesn't look like it was glued. We'll kind of get it started there, and that's what you got. And these are fairly universal, though I don't know if I've ever heard of anybody losing one. So probably no need to stock extras of these. But when you're installing the cork, you can get new corks from J.L. Smith or Music Medic. I prefer the beveled one. It just makes it a little bit easier to install. This is a beveled one that came out of here. Perfect. So we don't even need to replace it. I do like to glue it. So we would take our contact cement and do it just kind of the same way that we did the tenon corks and sack corks. Put some glue on the bottom of the plate. Put some glue on the underside of the top plate here. And I would put the contact cement as well on both the top and the bottom of the head joint cork. So I'm not going to bother doing it right now, but you guys know how to do that. So I do that, let it set for 10 minutes. Time to put it together. Put it down. If it is a beveled cork, you want the beveled end to be facing the top plate. Screw it back on. Now at this point you could put paraffin wax on it, just like we did on the sax and clarinet corks. If you didn't have any of that handy, you could even grab yourself some cork grease or tuning slide grease and put just a little bit on there. You don't want too much because you don't want to smear it on the inside of the flute. But yeah, let's put a little bit of tuning slide grease on that. Very, very little. I'm going to put it back in with the bottom plate down. This part right here that's going to screw into the crown facing up. Drop it in. Take your tool, same tool you used to get it out. Push it up there, and the tool will probably even have a mark on it, so you don't have to go back and forth with the cleaning rod. So you know exactly when to stop, when that's in the middle. Yep, looks good. And then you can screw the crown back on. And you're all set to go. Now, if this was too loose, the student could sit there playing with the crown, tightening it, and that's actually going to make the whole cork go up. Likewise, they could loosen it a little bit and then press down really hard. I'm able to do that even with this one a little bit, and I just threw everything off. I almost guarantee it's going to be too low now. Yep, look where our mark is. Not in the center anymore. So I could go back to my tool to push it back in further, or if I'm able to tighten it a little bit, that's pretty stiff, but I am able to move it. Actually, tightening the crown is going to make it go up that way, away from the rest of the flute. Go just a little bit more. And there we go. We're back in business. So yeah, that can be a $30, $40, $50 job that's actually not too difficult to do yourself, and you can save yourself a lot of money and downtime by doing that yourself in the band room.